Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you with us on the program, This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. As mentioned, back with us on the program, Dr. LeslieBeth Wish, a nationally recognized licensed clinical psychotherapist, honored for her pioneering work in love, career, happiness, and success. The National Association of Social Workers has named her on their list of 50 who has contributed to the profession. She's the author of the book Smart Relationships and the Love Adventures of Almost Smart Cookie. Her website is lovevictory.com, and she's back with us on This Week in America. Dr. Wish, welcome back. Great to have you with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all your listeners or watchers. I love being on your show because you are so smart and ask such really important questions.
Well, and you have really good answers. That's why we keep having you back on the program. You help a lot of people. The website, again, is lovevictory.com. Dr. LeslieBeth Wish, our guest on the program. And past programs that we've done with Dr. Wish, you can find at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. You can go to iTunes. You can go to YouTube and see the video version of the program. On today's show, we're going to be talking about something that maybe we find ourselves consciously or subconsciously doing, and that's fooling ourselves in many ways. We're talking about love. We're talking about work. How often do you find as you're dealing with people that they really are fooling themselves, and again, is it conscious or subconscious?
Well, I think this is a great question because this is April Fool's Day that we are recording this on. So in honor of April Fool's Day and the whole month of April, and whenever you broadcast this, these are really good tips. So, and to answer your question, do we fool ourselves? All the time? We do. A lot of times we have to minimize our concerns, our fears, our worries about how we're coming off to someone. I mean, if you turned on all the things that worry you when you're giving a talk or how you look or whether you said something stupid, you wouldn't get out of the house. So let's start with tip 1. How do you get yourself out of the house? Maybe not literally, but, figuratively.
Right.
So let's build on confidence. When you're going on a date, when you're doing a presentation at work, say to yourself, I can do this. Visualize yourself doing whatever it is that you have to do. This is a trick that athletes use all the time. What they do is think about making that basket, making the play. Smart coaches know how to train their athletes to have a visual image of something. So let's start with that one.
It's interesting. You'll talk to players, and we've done this where they play. Use the Super Bowl as an example. The night before the Super Bowl, they're in their room and basically mentally going through the game. They win 34-0, depending on the player. If it's a running back, he scores the winning touchdown. He has 157 yards during the course of the game. Visualization, and what that really works.
And it works because in many ways, without going into neurological detail, your brain doesn't know the exact differences between doing something and imagining that you're doing something. Some of the same neural circuits get activated. So imagining yourself on a date, imagining yourself giving a presentation, asking your boss for a raise, or going on a first date with someone, imagine yourself relaxing. Imagine yourself asking smart questions. Or imagine yourself looking down at your presentation and handing out papers, whatever it is that you have to do.
Our guest on This Week in America, Dr. LeslieBeth Wish, a nationally recognized licensed clinical psychotherapist. Her latest self-help research-based books are Smart Relationships and the Love Adventures of Almost Smart Cookie. You can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on to Dr. Wish's website or go directly there. It's very simple, lovevictory.com. We're talking about the positive with visualization. Let's flip that over. If you see yourself, when we use the athlete example again, and he's in the Super Bowl, and he's worried about fumbling. He's had a problem during the course of the year, and he's concerned about fumbling. Will the negative take over as well?
It certainly can, not only at your job, but in your love life too. When you begin to get into that negative mindset, here's what happens. You begin to doubt yourself. You begin to lead with your weaknesses. You get anxious. And when you get anxious, what your brain does is raise the level of cortisol and adrenaline. Those are hormones in your brain that prepare you to, be more alert and also to fight or fly away from an event, flee. So why is that bad for you? Because it takes away your focus on what you need to be present in, and it puts you in a defensive mode. And most importantly, it cuts off your ability to receive intuitive cues in your own body and from the people who you're with. So now imagine that you're on a date and you are anxious. What does that do to you? Well, you can't receive clear signals on whether you're feeling anxious about your date, whether you're picking up signs that he or she isn't good for you, or you can't receive the signals from your date. Imagine if your date is doing obnoxious things, treating the waitstaff as though they're his next girlfriend, or someone doesn't say thank you or please. You don't notice these things because cortisol levels and adrenaline are too high. You need a little bit to stay alert. So I am a big fan of how to boost your intuition. So all the tips we'll be talking about today, and I thought maybe we could alternate a tip for work and a tip for love, but all of them will help boost your intuition.
That's interesting, and we will do that on the last show that Dr. LeslieBeth Wish, our guest, was with us, and it's available at YouTube and iTunes as well. We talked about intuition. And when you think about that, so often we get into trouble when we don't trust our feelings, and you just mentioned that again. Is that like sort of rule number one? Always at least open your mind to listen to what your intuition is telling you.
And it's so hard to do because a lot of us are not attuned to our body. I've talked before about sensing when something is happening. Your stomach is flip-flopping, you have a headache, your hands are twitching, your legs are moving. So be aware of you, be mindful, and learn to focus on what you're doing at the moment, whether it's a presentation or on a date. So let me give you some positive things to think about and some April Fool's things to undo so that you don't fool yourself. So let's talk about perfectionism. That's one of the things that gets in the way of so many people. Perfectionists believe that control is the way to happiness. But you can't control everything. You can't even control everything in yourself. So what is the positive spin on that? Relax. Accept that things aren't going to go all according to plan. If you're at work, don't become a martyr. Don't think that you have to make every single decision, control every person, which you know you can't do. And if you're on a date, relax. Think about what you would like your date to know about you and what you would like to know about your date. Intuitive questions might be, tell me what you learned from your previous relationships about yourself and what you're looking for and what you need in a relationship. Then think about what you would like someone to ask you. And if they don't, offer it. You might say, here's some positive things about me, or here's some quirks that I have. But use your trust in your own need to know and your own need to what you want to offer someone else.
A lot of this information you will find at Dr. Wish's website, which is very simple, lovevictory.com. She is the author of self-help research-based books, Smart Relationships, The Love Adventures of Almost Smart Cookie, and doing a new book on intuition. All of this information available at the website lovevictory.com. And of course, you can always go to thisweekinamerica.us and link on there directly. It's interesting as we're talking about the concept of fooling ourselves, that so often, because of this, we probably put up with things that we shouldn't. And I can think about cases where we hear where someone's in an abusive relationship, and it's almost like they're fooling themselves to think that he or she will change. And this goes long past the point when that's even rational thinking.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we want things to be stable. Change can be good or bad. And sometimes when you have to rock the boat and break up or change the rules in your relationship, it gets really scary. So I'm going to talk really briefly, and of course I haven't used a prop yet, and for those people who are watching this, you're probably wondering, where are those props she uses? So I'm going to talk about the two big structural relationship traps that people get into, particularly women. So let's take my teddy bear, all right? This is my wonderful teddy bear. It's very easy for women, particularly, and all these tips I should add come out of 5 years of research with thousands of women I did from my book. So I'm not giving you tips that are just, observations or from my clinical practice. I want you to trust what I'm saying. It's very important to me. So these are the two main traps that women get into when they're talking about how to choose a guy. So teddy bears, they're loving, they're cuddly, they feel so good, they make you feel understood. These are often men who allow you to say whatever you feel. They're good listeners, and those are wonderful qualities to have, but be careful. Oftentimes these teddy bear men, and I really don't want to characterize a person as a type, but men who act as teddy bears in your relationship, oftentimes their behavior changes, and instead of being focused on you, they get very upset if you aren't giving enough to them. And oftentimes these men who are very sensitive and empathic, and again, those are really good traits to have in your partner. But what often happens is when the going gets rough, these men disappear. They can't be there to help you. Or when you are in a state of need, they are saying, what about me? What about me? I'm giving and giving and giving, and you're not there. So pay attention to those shifts. Very, very important. And so what do a lot of women do? This was very common in my research. They say to themselves, I don't want any more men like that. I want a man I can rely on. I want a man, hang on, I'm going to try, there we go. A little toy here.
Oh, yes.
These are big bucks. Ben Franklin's, okay? They look for men with, lots of money because they think this man is going to be really reliable and trustworthy and a mover and a shaker. And there's nothing wrong with guys like that. But they also like men who are very exciting. This is my little race car.
So a little sports car, yes.
Yeah, my little sports car.
I like that.
Exactly.
I like that.
Gull wings and all. And a lot of the women said, I want a man who also will give me a life. So why would a woman feel that way? Why would she opt and overcorrect the man who, strangled her with his needs or didn't become reliable? They overcorrect. And they think that the idea of a man having a successful career is the only thing they should be looking for. Or, and this goes into those tips about how we fool ourselves at work, if you are all work and no play, do you know what that does to both men and women? It makes you feel as though your whole life and all your life eggs are in that work basket, and it leaves you very vulnerable to falling in love with the next available person when the going gets rough. You lose your job, your health is bad, something happens that says, I've got to find a person. And you've got to be very careful about that. So being all work and no play is how we lie to ourselves. And also thinking that someone who's exciting and has lots of big bucks is going to take you out of the rat race of a very pressured job, or is going to fix everything that isn't working in your life.
Dr. LeslieBeth Wish, our guest on the program. Her website is lovevictory.com. Her self-help research-based books are Smart Relationships and the Love Adventures of Almost Smart Cookie. Talking about fooling ourselves and mistakes that we made. That's interesting. You're talking about the work situation and possibly looking for something that we know probably really isn't there, but it's flashy. It's the dollar bills, the Benjamins in that case. It's the car. It's the escape. Is that why affairs are prominent sometimes in the workplace?
Affairs happen very often in the workplace. Think about it. You spend so many hours at work, but what often happens is that you are paired with a team member to work on a very, very important project that has, lots of rewards and lots of high profile. And here you are working, after work, before work, weekends, and you and this person are a team, and you are working together on something that gets your adrenaline going, your cortisol going in your brain, those stress hormones. But what's also happening is the attachment hormones are starting to get activated, oxytocin in your brain, that makes you feel close to that person. It's almost like your brain and your feelings and your thoughts are saying, we're in this together. So you get falsely close to someone, and it's very easy to take that closeness and think it means you've fallen in love. Be very careful.
Information on this topic and many others at Dr. Wish's website, which is lovevictory.com. A couple minutes left in the program. Something that you talk about frequently and in a lot of the blogs that you write, the power of laughter and the power of humor, which can get us through a lot of situations, from a physical standpoint, as well as from an emotional standpoint as well.
Definitely. Laughter puts you in a better mood. It keeps you positive. It activates a portion in the brain that calms you and also wants to make an attachment to someone. Very, very important. And it shows you how that person thinks. Women say to me, and research backs this up, they say, one of the things I want in my partner is a good sense of humor. And what a woman is saying, and men say this too, but women, it's one of their top things on their list that they want. What you're saying is, this is a person who can roll with the flow, take some punches, laugh at himself, and share my worldview. People who have dry senses of humor often find each other. People who like to go see, all those stupid teen movies and The Hangover and all that, they share that kind of madcap funniness, and it makes you feel closer to someone. Very, very important to laugh. This little bit of time that's left to point out two things. At work, it's very easy to compare yourself to someone else. They're getting ahead, they're getting the promotions, they're getting the good projects. Is that comparison a good idea? So I'm putting on my green with envy glasses. So does envy make you feel negative about yourself, or does it help you? And I would say, don't fool yourself into thinking that either one of those things is bad. When you are green with envy, use that envy to teach yourself, what can I learn from this person who I am jealous of? What are they doing right? Where's the lesson there? But on the other hand, those green glasses, those green with envy feelings, don't use them to be too hard on yourself. You can also get that sense of envy when you see other people who are partners and you say, what's wrong with me? And I don't want you to think what's wrong with you. I want you to think about what can I improve. So comparing yourself to others can help you if you use it correctly as a teaching tool rather as something to make yourself jealous or to be negative.
That's interesting. So envy, we're sort of taught that that's destructive, and you're saying, no, it actually, in a sense, can be constructive.
Yes, absolutely. And use it as a tool to learn. The other things that get people into trouble is they base their self-esteem on their feelings. And do you know how many movie stars and actors and actresses and musical performers are almost sick to their stomach sometimes before they go on stage? But they show you a performance that really, really touches you. So do not use just how you feel about something to do as an evaluative tool to determine whether you are positive or good or worthy. Base yourself on how you act. It's much more effective. And that way you can sort of short circuit that sense of beating yourself up because you're anxious. Being a little bit anxious is very helpful on a date or doing a presentation. It makes you more alert. That's good kind of anxiety. But even if you are feeling overwhelmed, go back to the very first tip we talked about today, which is calm down and visualize. Very, very important. And most of all, give up. Hang on, I'm going to get a little prop here. Give up thinking of perfection. Don't think that you've got to win the award for being the best date or the best presenter. Give it your best shot. Calm down. If you make a mistake, just say, excuse me, that's not what I meant to say. Because being perfect enough to win something, best girlfriend, best anything, wow, that puts you in your anxious mode all the time. So calm down. And one good way to get yourself to calm down and get rid of that perfectionism that you have to win something all the time and be the best, why don't you watch television when they have the newscasters on? Watch any newscast show. And they stumble, they say things wrong, they look down at their paper to read something, they will say, oh, what I meant to say. They do it all the time. It's a normal, natural conversation. And probably today I stumbled already, but this is a normal conversation, not a canned program. So use your intuition to tell you people make mistakes. They stumble. They're not perfect all the time. Don't put yourself into that negative mode.
So you need to relax and have a sense of humor. So if you can't say physiological, you just laugh about it and you go on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here are some tips for, boosting your intuition and your optimism. Say to yourself, I can regulate my moods. And if I'm feeling anxious, I don't have to listen to it as a statement about whether I'm doing a good job or not. Nobody knows how anxious you are or how you're feeling. Go ahead and do what you need to do, and don't base your sense of accomplishment on whether you're feeling anxious. Tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can. Then tell yourself, I deserve good things. And if I mess up, it doesn't mean I'm a bad person or I'm stupid or I failed. Don't think globally. Intuitive people are very good at having a perspective, gauging when they messed something up or said something silly. And a lot of times you can send a quick text message or a handwritten note or whatever and say, look, I messed up. Can I get a second chance at that?
A lot of great tips. As always, Dr. LeslieBeth Wish, our guest on the program. Her books are Smart Relationships and the Love Adventures of Almost Smart Cookie. Her website, which has information on the books and a lot of great life information, is lovevictory.com. And of course, you can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to Dr. Wish's website. Doctor, thank you so much for having us on the program. Look forward to having you back. As always, very meaningful tips you've given us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I hope your listeners and viewers learn to boost their intuition, stay positive, and not be so worried about, judging yourself. Don't fall into a whole month of April Fools where you're lying to yourself and not being good to yourself.
Great information and more available at lovevictory.com, and of course at our website, thisweekinamerica.us.
Thank you.